Welcome back, everybody. Nice to see you, boys. Look, if you're enjoying the show, people who are watching, people who are listening, please feel free to share the love. Tell your mates about us. Share the show on your Arsenal WhatsApp groups. We've all got loads of those. On which note, Johnny, right, how many Arsenal WhatsApp groups are you in?
Oh, probably, if I'm honest, 7 or 8. But
7 or 8?
But listen, I'm in groups where there is thousands of people in it. I've actually just been kicked out of one for being too positive about Arteta, actually.
Really?
Honestly.
I love that. Kicked out for being too positive.
The younger, it's like I got invited into one on Twitter, like a big community.
Yeah.
Shout out Liv's Ledge. And yes, they are very, very negative.
Wow.
A lot more negative than we are.
Well, no, but this is why.
Which takes some going,
I
doesn't
know,
it, boys?
I know. This is why I want to say we're too spoilt, right? Because I feel like, Johnny, we were a little bit too negative after beating Chelsea 3-2. It does sound like we lost, right? And I think part of that is because, do you know what? Jim summed it up perfectly in the WhatsApp group. When it went 3-2, Jim just put GAH as in gah. And that is actually summed up how I felt for that entire podcast.
And I think with an instant reaction, you're sat in the feeling that you had at full time, right?
Yeah.
But on reflection, how do you guys feel about it now? The dust has settled.
I feel the same. I'm about to say I feel the same.
no.
Do you know
Come
what?
on.
Okay, I'll tell you why. We have lost once to Chelsea since 2019, right? If I'm honest, and I look at that team, and I have reflected, I look at the team that they put out, and I look at the fact that really the only person that should have caused any trouble is Estevao, and even he's a 19-year-old kid, first season in the Premier League. We could have won by more, and we could have put it to bed, and we have a busy schedule, and we could have been like, okay, we're in the final. When it comes to February the 3rd, we can maybe rest some players. So I thought it still was a missed opportunity, but I agree with Giorgio, 29. We aren't Real Madrid yet, so maybe we should be a little bit more appreciative. But I'm becoming a spoilt brat because we played 31 times this season and we won 25 of them. So,
well, this is the thing, Johnny. Giorgio29 on YouTube, he commented saying, talking like Real Madrid fans, anyone watching would have thought we'd lost to relegation fodder. And it's a very good point, right?
Yeah.
We're away at Stamford Bridge. We won 3-2. The XG was like, I think their XG was like 0.56 or something like that.
Which is mad when they scored 2 goals because Garnacho was in acres of space.
He
that
just
feels
scores
like
against
a flaw
us.
in the
That's
model for me.
That's all he does.
Big flaw in the
And
model.
I think we even said it at the time. If Marino who hits that volley, he's so sweet, right? And if that had gone in, we're 4-1 up, we probably win the game 4 or 5, and then we're not even talking about it. It's just, it felt like a bit of a sour taste in the mouth because we should have won it 3-1. We should have won it 2-0, and we've come out of 3-2, but I still feel fairly confident.
Sure. I mean, look, there's definitely a missed opportunity to go in there with a bigger lead, but what you're lamenting is the lack of it being even better than it was. We won that game, right? Surely that you winning the away leg in a two-legged semi-final is massive, especially given our recent records in semi-finals is really quite bad. I've got it in front of me here. We've been in 4 two-legged semis and lost them all recently. I think this is under Arteta. No wins, 2 draws, 6 losses across those, right? So, I mean, this is great.
Do you know what else I did read? Not to go back to XG, but we've, out of our recent semi-finals, which you said we've only won, that's probably the first one we won, our XG is nearly 14 against the opponents, so XG of about 7. So there's been a lot of times
deserved to win them.
We've
We're saving
deserved
it
to
up.
win. So yes, I was a spoilt brat. I take it back. Thank you for this little intervention, boys. Actually,
It's an opportunity.
I think it was,
Apologise.
It was maybe needed.
Do you think part of it is actually because we've been damaged by those semi-final defeats before and we don't quite believe it yet?
I don't think-
Half-time lasts 3 weeks and has got like 4 other games in it for
know.
this stupid fixture.
I don't think it's even just the semi-finals. I think it's just because we've not won one of those big trophies. I know Pep considers the Charity Shield a trophy, but other than the Charity Shield, we haven't won anything since that FA Cup, and then they were looking like 21, 22 years since we won the Premier League. That's why you're all sitting there going, "I know it's good, but like if we don't win it, it's all for nothing." I think that's what I feel a little bit like.
Don't we have to talk ourselves out of that, though?
Yes.
I know each
That's why I said
individual
we're too
has to
spoiled.
do that and just get that feeling back in the crowd and just in the fan base.
Totally.
Channel the vibes.
Totally agree. And William Saliba said after the game, he said, "I'm tired of finishing the season with nothing in my pockets."
Yeah.
All right. Now, that's good. You're not leaving loads of stuff in your pockets because that can be annoying.
Yeah.
But also, he does need to finish this season with some trophies in his pockets.
Yeah. And actually, the full quote of that, or the full interview was, that sounds like he's being like, he's asking a club to come and sign him, doesn't it? But that was, he was talking about the frustration that all the players feel and how determined they are and how committed they are to just getting every single match won and dealt with. And I think we're starting to see that. I'm kind of annoyed that we conceded the 2 goals, obviously, because they were both really sloppy by our standards. But Chelsea could say the same, right? 2 of their goals were gifts to us. So,
Yes.
And also, look, what is it? In the last 7 games, won 6, drawn 1. And that one was against Liverpool, who are the current champions.
Yeah, our only clean sheet in ages, that, weirdly.
Yeah, but I think now we've got Gabriel Saliba back in business. Do you think Ben White's going to start in the next game as well?
Ben White played really well. I guess the problem is kind of throwing him right back into loads and loads of games because that happened before and he got an injury straight away. I don't know, we'll see.
I think the good thing about Ben White, I noticed early in the season when he was coming in and out in the Champions League games, he looked like he was missing rhythm. He looked like he needed to get back up to that standard. But recently, last couple games, I know it was Portsmouth, but also it's Chelsea as well, he looks like the old Ben White and he looks fresh. That's the other good thing.
And there's a lot going forward.
A lot going forward. He is, in some ways, he's very, very, he's a bit one-dimensional as a right back, but that's sometimes what you need. He does what you expect a right back to do. Whereas sometimes Timber might almost look for the extra pass or whatever else. He's going to get in a position. If the ball's to the back post is on, I'm playing that ball. Like if Saka's on the overlap, I'm not going to hold it. I'm going to play that ball. So I think the good thing, most importantly, I saw him in a match interview afterwards, and he was giving Gyökeres his Man of the Match award. He looked so fresh. He looked like he's about to go on Love Island. That's the Ben White I know.
Yeah.
That's the Ben White I know and love. So yeah, good on him, and that's going to be good. Going back to the Saliba's comments, I'm going to get onto another one in a minute, but that hunger, we know as fans, because we've all got friends who support other clubs, we have to win this year. Like, we can't be known as that bottle job team. The players, could you imagine how and that is a real good indication of how they're actually feeling. They have to win.
Yeah.
Like there's not even any room for, you know what, we can, or we might win the League Cup, but we can't, we got to win the league. And I feel as though that seeps out across the whole fan base. There's a desperation and a hunger, but it's a healthy desperation and hunger.
And we're going to get onto Declan Rice in a second, but I think carrying on from that mentality, it was interesting watching Arteta's press conference before the Forest game, where he talked about the mentality of players like Nwaneri, players like Eze, who aren't playing all the minutes that they would want to play. But he said that they showed all the players, look at every team that has been successful. Look at Man City, look at Chelsea, look at Liverpool. None of them have done it with 15, 16 players. They've all done it with big squads. That's why we've got big squads. But that's why all of you need to have that same mentality of Saliba, because otherwise you can't do it if some people are half-arsing it.
It's exactly why we've fallen down before as well, isn't it? We all remember that kind of horrible double whammy of losing Saliba and Tomiyasu at the same time, and how that really affected us in a catastrophic way. Hopefully with the evidence like that in front of them, they're happy to just accept that.
And interestingly, I think Rice really does epitomise that mentality. He's a proper winner.
Yeah.
The fact he came to Arsenal over Man City, that straight away puts him as one of the greatest human beings of all time. He's just glorious. And a couple of other moments this week to make him even more glorious was I didn't realise this at the time, but there's one of the Chelsea fans, I love they still post it when they do things like this. So one of the Chelsea fans has filmed him taking the corner, right? And this is just before we'd scored the goal, and they're taking the corner, going, "You fucking traitor! Chelsea reject! You're a traitor!" Like that, and then he scored Ben White scores the goal, and he just looks at him. All he does is sort of smile.
But he's got his hands out, he's smiling, and he's running backwards.
Oh, it's glorious.
It's brilliant.
I love it. But I love that. I love if you're a Chelsea fan going, here, right, what I've done, right? I've got this video of him, right, and I was calling him a fucking traitor, right? And then they scored, and he looked at it and gave it to me, right? And then I posted it anyway. Why would you still post it? Why do you want to be embarrassed?
It's a strange one, that, isn't it? But yeah, I'm all for it.
Right, can we now move on to our next game, which is tomorrow, Saturday, 5:30, Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal.
I've got the Arsenal fixtures updated into my calendar, as I'm sure you both do as well. And it just says Dyche away, this one.
Does it?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And that's absolutely right. We all know what a Dyche away feels like. Now, look, the last time we played them, Martin Zubimendi scored twice. He's probably going to do that again. He's one of our best goal scorers. And then there was a goal from Victor Gyökeres, which we are also seeing as well. And that was a 3-0 win against Nottingham Forest at the Emirates back in September. And that was Ange Postecoglou. That's who we are, mate. That was his first game in charge of Forest.
Oh, it's a lovely day, wasn't it?
So
I was at the game.
Was he
there?
Yeah, beautiful game.
Was he? He was the manager at the beginning of the season. No, started.
Yeah, Nuno started.
Then Ange.
And
now
Sean
we got
Dyche.
Dyche.
They beat West Ham recently, but they needed a late penalty to do that. They were just knocked out of the FA Cup by Wrexham on penalties. They'd lost the 4 before they played West Ham. They're not in good form. We have to be.
It was a very different side that they played against Wrexham. Because Sean Dyche came out and said, a lot of these players they come asking for a game and then they play like that. So I don't think any of those players are going to be featuring against Arsenal. And I think Sangari's back as well, and he was in very, very good form. Yeah. He was in very good form for Sean Dyche. Who else? I think Yates is coming back. I don't think he's ready to start. They're sort of struggling with a striker. I think they're in the market for a striker.
Whose fault's that? Mr. Redu himself. The Igor Jesus has not worked out, so I want to pull him up on that. They've got a lot of good. He started well, Sean Dyche. 3-0 at Anfield. You can't overlook that. But it's not been great since. All they've beaten since is relegation for the Spurs, West Ham. His comments last week after Wrexham, that might have done a lot to that dressing room.
There is a sense sometimes that this is a terrible time to face a team when they've just had a really shocking result, isn't it? Because they regroup and they get back to the basics, which will have been Dyche's approach for Arsenal anyway, right? It's going to be a game that they try and edge. And they're a confusing team when you look at them on paper compared to when you see them on grass. Because there is so many... there are so many talented players in that team. Morgan Gibbs-White and centre-backs as well. Nikola Milenkovic and Maria are fantastic centre-backs.
They're a Champions League centre-back pairing. And Elliot and Anderson and Morgan Gibbs-White.
Yeah, so there's danger in there for sure.
Hutchison, who are a player we lost out on, I think he's gone under the radar a bit.
They're quite bad at set pieces.
Which is ideal.
We're quite good at set pieces. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's surprising that a Sean Dyche team isn't particularly good at set pieces, though, isn't it? This is exactly the sort of stuff that they'll be drilling as we speak, almost certainly. It's going to be a painful week for a Nottingham Forest player, I would expect.
Interesting. I was listening to, in preparation for this, I listened to a Nottingham Forest podcast called Talking Reds. And they were saying that the best they could, they're all calling it a free hit. And they're saying the best that they could hope for is maybe a draw. They're caring less about the performance, just get anything out of it. They've got Braga on Thursday. You forget they're in the Europa League. They could be in the Champions League next year, right? And I think they're 11th in the Europa League table. And if they beat Braga, they would go ahead of Braga into the top 8.
So that's
also
massive.
they are only 3 points off not qualifying at all. So you would imagine a little bit of focus is going to be on that. They've now got a 7-point cushion. Do you feel like Johnny, they could be like taking their eye off the ball in this game and maybe thinking about Thursday?
I don't think so. I think Saturday night at the City Ground is going to be, and it's Arsenal coming. Everyone hates us. I do think it's an easy game to get up for. I think the focus will be on us. And I do think, even though I think they're pretty safe considering how bad the teams are below them, there has to be a response to going out to Wrexham. And like you said, I think there has to be that. So I do think I think we're going to get a very physical game. I think it's going to be blood and thunder. They did give Man City a lot of problems a couple of weeks ago. A lot of problems on the break. They cut through them as well because there is quality in that team.
I think you're absolutely right about the timing of the game as well. 5:30 kickoff at the City Ground. City will have played, probably will have won by then as well. So that puts a little bit of pressure on us. And the City Ground is amazing. Yeah. But it's a really, really loud ground. I mean, they knocked us out of the FA Cup in 2018 and 2022 there. Yes. So I feel like this...
When I lose a duel, I am upset.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yeah, that's that famous incident, isn't it? So it's one of the ones where I looked at our recent record against Forest, and it's generally very good. We drew 0-0 in this fixture last season, but they still feel like a bit of a bogey team to me because of some of the results we've had. At the City Ground. And then, of course, in May 2023, they beat us when the title challenge was falling apart as well. So it's a ground with some bad memories there. And you've always got to be kind of wary of that. What we've been really good at this season, though, is kind of exercising those demons. And results we had last season that went away from us, we've managed to put away this season. So I have no doubt everyone will be really, really focused on it. But I think this is a harder game than their league position suggests.
I'm very confident. Good. I think we're going to strangle the hell out of them.
It would be ridiculous if we don't win.
I think their XG is going to be 0.01, right? And I think we're going to win 2-3-0. I think this is going to be very easy. clip it up.
Yeah.
Play this out when we draw. I really do think this is going to be a very, very comfortable victory for us.
One thing I really want to see is a clean sheet, because that was a superpower of ours earlier in the season. But we've conceded some silly goals, haven't we?
Yeah,
the one against Portsmouth was silly. The one against Bournemouth.
But Gabriel's only just come back. Sleeper was playing on his own. There's been mismatches. I know Calafiori's still out. But
no Raya as well.
And no Raya in those games either. Like this is a clean sheet. I wonder, though, if he might give Saka a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
I feel like this could be a Nonny game.
He'll probably have an eye on Tuesday night, won't he? And I think Saka will be more kind of trusted in that role. So I think you're right. Nonny Madueke might start.
I'm taking him out of my fantasy team, so that's my belief.
He's having a bit of criticism, isn't it? Or like mild criticism for maybe not hitting the heights that he should at the moment in terms of his numbers. But I think actually his contribution to the second goal against Chelsea was massive, because that comes from him winning a fierce battle with Cucurella to get a throw in, and he's then really, really alert to that throw, does really well to get us up the pitch. Again, I've seen some criticism of him not passing to Gyökeres when he was in a good position straight away. But obviously, we do score after that, so there's some justification in Saka's thinking, even though it was from a Robert Sanchez mistake. So I think that's been overlooked a little bit. And I do think that maybe that chance, or that kind of imaginary chance people are talking about, he has a lot to do on his wrong foot, and Gyökeres has got a tiny corridor in which to operate. So I think there's been a little bit of maybe harsh criticism on Saka there.
It is a bit of harsh criticism. This is the way this team's coached, though, because we don't play. See that ball that he could have played originally, like you said, on his right foot. That's a difficult pass, and Arteta doesn't like that.
No, I think inverted fullbacks, isn't inverted wingers.
Yeah, he wants you to make sure that pass is a high percentage ball, which we then got with the overlap from, was it Timber?
Ben White.
Ben White, sorry, with the overlap. We got that in the end. And I feel as though that is down to the way we play, which is kind of the right thing to do. Is why sometimes we don't look that exciting sometimes, because we do play the higher percent. We do play high percentage probability balls rather than the riskier passes. That's what we got under Wenger, but we make sure that we give ourselves the best opportunity or the best chance possible.
I'm choosing to trust the process.
Absolutely. And it's kind of interesting looking back at the original, like the first meeting between us this season, us and Forest, because Gyökeres' goal comes from Eze making a first-time cross as he's kind of running into the box. It's exactly the chances we haven't been making for him. And even though Eze is a right-footed player, I suspect that the way to get the best out of Gyökeres is to actually have Martinelli on the right and Saka on the left. Because that way you can get crosses in faster. Yeah. And it's just easier for Gyökeres to get on the end of them. So I'd be interested to see if we start seeing that in games.
Or in those games, didn't put Madueke on the left. You know, because he is the king of cutting in and and committing players, and you never know. But I think as Kai gets fitter, we're probably
flirted with that idea a couple of times. We've seen both Nonny and Saka, here and there. We've seen him try it a little bit.
Just a quick word before we go to a break on Man City are travelling to Man United at 12:30. It's Michael Carrick's first game as the interim manager. I find it hard to sort of go, they're playing before us. That puts us under pressure. We've got to deal with that every week.
Yeah, sure.
Is this a surefire shoe-in win for Man City? Because you never know with Man United. They sometimes turn up against City.
I'm going to say that it is absolutely 100% guaranteed Man City win, because even though I'm not a superstitious woo-woo person, I do believe in curses when it comes to football. So I'm going to try and put one on Man City by backing them 100%.
Okay.
I actually think United might win. I'll tell you what.
It'd be amazing.
They are not, and I know this was under Amorim, but they don't like being a protagonist, right? So if anybody, that's why you've seen them have great performances against Liverpool, great performances against City. They can play Ole Solskjaer football. They can play that on the break and get your win. And if they go a goal up tomorrow on the break, which Man City give you those opportunities a lot more than we do, you can get through to Man City, especially with these new centre backs. I think it could be a difficult game for them, and I may be being optimistic, and I want to go down your route of the curse, Jim, because that feels right. I think that's what we need. But
we covered all bases now, right?
Yeah, we covered all bases.
And I will definitely put our bet on Man City to win. So
great.
We've covered all bases.
Perfect.
Right, after the break, an Arsenal giant has announced his exit. It was announced earlier this week that Per Mertesacker is going to leave his role as the academy manager at Arsenal at the end of this season. He has been in the role for 8 years, and he went in straight after retiring from his playing career, where his final game, he played one game that season, I think, and he won the FA Cup. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, he's a sort of important figure in that team that ended that 9-year trophy drought. He ended his Arsenal career with 3 FA Cups, World Cup winner as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he's been a really important figure as that academy head. We've seen so many good players come through under his watch. And I think he's in a situation where there's not really anywhere he can progress. So you don't begrudge somebody leaving in a situation like that. What I find really interesting about this as well is that it is kind of sad, obviously, because he's well liked and he's demonstrably done a good job. But the academy system in the time that he's been at Arsenal has changed a lot. Like, clubs have kind of siloed budgets for it now in a way that they didn't so much before. Not as far as I'm aware anyway, but like certainly the money has gone up in recent years. And whoever comes in now is coming into a very sort of different set of circumstances, and it's a chance for us to grow in that regard, right?
100%.
And it's a business opportunity. You know, the academy is a chance for teams to earn lots of money. Man City's academy, Liverpool's academy. You see how they sell players for 20-30 million quid, where we've sort of done the opposite and just created first team players that are worth £100 million each.
Or the worst one, which illustrates the point completely. You mentioned him earlier, Amari Hutchinson, which we sold him for like 2 million quid, was it? And then Chelsea ended up selling him for 22, and he barely played for them.
We're seeing this as well with Heaven, at Chido and Martin.
Yes.
These are players that have gone and we haven't generated them. We looked at it. I always, whenever a transfer window comes up, we talk about trying to sell players. Up till a long time ago, it was Oxlade-Chamberlain was our highest sell. I think, is it now Smith Rowe or Nketiah?
But even so,
we haven't sold players for more. Like, you see what City and Liverpool and Chelsea are doing. We don't do that. And I think a lot of it is to do with the fact that we keep our young players there and don't loan them as much as we probably should, or we don't get to see, you know, how good these players actually are until it's a little bit too late. Or I feel that we don't use the loan market what we should.
Part of it is getting them on terms. So Aidan Heaven and Chido Obi Martin are 2 good examples, actually, where we hadn't actually signed them up to a proper contract, because you have to be at a certain age to do that. So Man United managed to swoop in and get them for their first pro contract. So that's another area of improvement that you want to look at. I think Nicholas Anelka might still be in our top 5 all-time outgoings, which
that's about 23 million.
Was that
there was a
99?
time not long ago that was the case. I think it might certainly be the top 10.
No, he's definitely 100%, because that was like 20 odd minutes.
But I mean, it feels kind of a little bit crass, doesn't it, to talk about the academy like this? But it is a reality of modern football, and unfortunately, absolutely every penny that you can get out of yourself needs to be made.
Because we're spending it elsewhere. We're buying these players and we're having to spend over the odds elsewhere to do it. So we should be doing the same on the back end. And that's not to overlook or dismiss the job he's done, because those players that have come through Hayland love him.
Yeah.
Like, you see it. There is an obvious amount of love and outpouring of love for what he's done for these players. And he just seems like a really, really nice, friendly giant. So
He does.
And him, you know, there's a synergy with him and Arteta. You know, they both came into the club together, you know, ended their careers at a similar time.
Yeah.
Obviously, both going into the structure of the club. So it's a big change. And I wonder what sort of route they'll go down. Will they go down the sort of ex-player route? Because I do think that, you know, that carries with it a big weight if you are a successful player at the club.
It's a full-on job as well, managing the entirety of the academy like that. There's lots of different age groups in that. It is a huge, huge undertaking. So I kind of trust the structure we have now to get this appointment right, which is a very refreshing thing about supporting Arsenal in 2026, isn't it? We look back to some of the kind of ridiculous situations we've had with like Sven Mislintat and Don Raul and all those kind of players, all those figures where you don't quite know what they do and they don't seem to quite know what they do either. It's way more joined up than that now.
But on that, you know, I feel like our academies have changed over the years, because like when Wenger was there, it's been interesting actually seeing our Arsenal change up their starting lineups in the cups. But the lineups that we're changing up are still international players.
Yeah.
Where like back in the day, you know, you'd see a Justin Hoyt, you know, you'd see Kieran Gibbs before, Serge Gnabry, like before
Craig
these
Eastman.
players. Yeah, and but now you're not really seeing those players. So I feel like as much as the academy has changed because it's going to bring you more money, you need to bring up these players. But it's a really tricky job, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think part of it as well is that we are we're a for now squad, aren't we? So it's particularly difficult to break into it. But I suppose that is just the challenge for the modern footballer, isn't it? We're seeing it with the minutes that Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan Nwaneri are getting at the moment. Even two players who have cracked into it are still finding it difficult. So it's meant to be hard, right? And that's something that they're always pushing, like particularly for the guys who don't make the grade, which I think is a really important part of an academy as well, right?
Yeah.
The sad reality is most of these people won't make it, and then you have a big kind of come down moment very early in your life, and I think it's important that the club focus on managing that, and I think they do that. They do as good a job as I think you can.
Just like United we have a responsibility to start developing young men, which I think we've done really well in terms of Smith Rowe. And there's an Arsenal way. So the way these men, and they'll say that for the rest of their life, that they were developed and they were reared the Arsenal way, and the United do, I think, a similar thing. I don't want to lose that. I mean, that is still important, and I feel like that there's one side of it, the business side of it, where we're thinking about the talent and how much these assets are worth, and then there's the other side of it is the human side, which is bringing these players through, and that's what Pierre's done brilliantly.
And we have to understand that football and the business side of it has changed over the years. We're also very, very focused on Arsenal. If you look at like Man City, someone like Oscar Bob, who was like this player that we were all talking about, we like just think he's going to break into the first team. And now now they've signed Semenyo as well. You're probably not going to see Oscar Bob is probably going to get sold. Cole Palmer. I mean, look at the career that he's had. Harvey Elliott. I know he's a little bit older, but like we have to understand that all these players aren't. It's great to have the Bukayo Saka story, of course it is, but that's very, very rare in any of the top clubs.
Yeah, and it's almost always about timing. Every single player you've mentioned there, Saka included, are in the position they're in because of either good luck or bad luck in terms of the timing of the circumstances.
Now, on the subject of youth trials, in an interview with Men in Blazers this week, Bukayo Saka revealed when he went on trial at Arsenal's Hale End Academy when he was 7, he wore a shirt that his dad bought for him that had the name King Kayo on the back. And he said, when he first bought the shirt, I didn't know whether I wanted to wear it or not because it was a trial and you don't want to turn up with King on your back. But my dad pushed me and said, no, believe in yourself, go for it. In the end, I just did. After a while, when you're playing football, you forget about it anyway. That's, hero mentality from Bukayo early doors, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, I watched the interview, it was a very mature, philosophical. And I was like, you see, as he gets older, because he's all like our little brother.
Yeah.
But he actually spoke a lot of really wise. He was like a young Gandalf in that. And I think when he retires, there might be a career in motivational speaking or mentoring. But he speaks a lot about faith in that interview, which is something that personally I've been looking at a little bit more as well. But it was an interesting take on how it's helped him and how it guides every decision in his life. And it doesn't matter what God you believe in, it's that external faith that sort of helps you when to navigate difficult situations. And I think it was a really, really important message. And he was very well thought through. He knew exactly what he wanted to say. And that is what he's turning into, a fine young man and a fine leader, a great representative of the club.
Absolutely. Love Bukayo. Now, we're coming to the end of this section. Now, BBC, as some breaking news, well, sort of breaking news, it's some breaking news in principle. The BBC are reporting that Man City have agreed a deal in principle to sign Crystal Palace captain Marc Guehi. This worries me because he's very good. Yeah. And Man City are scrambling about. Semenyo, Marc Guehi.
Two massive additions.
Big, Premier proven. I know. What? Oh, Guardiola never stops complaining and saying, Arsenal have spent lots of money. They are spending so much money yet again.
Yeah.
But if this is a signing and he wants to go, this is a very good signing, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking the other day, weren't we, about this as a potential Arsenal signing, thinking, from his point of view, is he going to be happy to be someone who isn't necessarily the first name on the team sheet? And I think we're all forgetting that a big plus of having Marc Guehi is that someone else doesn't have him. Yeah. And that is going to be a massive addition to their back line, which has been got at more than you might expect, even in games they've won. So yeah, it's just what we're up against, isn't it? It's just what everybody's up against.
Just talking about their back line, it has actually been decimated. Obviously Diaz has got a short-term injury, and then you've got
Vardy's out as well.
Stones out forever. Can never stay that fit.
No. Yeah. So I get why he's done it, and it's a great opportunity for Marc. But even though he is Prem proven and he's coming from the Prem, City did this last year. Spent about 100 million cushion off. They brought in Nico Gonzalez. it takes a player when you're getting into mid-season, coming into a team, it's very difficult. Even if you play in the league. And also, I said it on the last pod, he's coming from playing a very, very different system. He's plays on he's in a free at Crystal Palace. I don't think that transition, even with Semenyo, he's coming and hit the ground running. I still think it's going to be a while before next season, Jesus, I think City, after we won the league, they're going to be upcoming for us. All of this is after the fact. It's after the horse has bolted for me. And they're scrambling, but I don't know if it's going to come in and make that impact straight away.
I guess Palace play without the ball a lot as well.
Yes.
It's a very, very different style to come into. But I do think that it's naive to think that Semenyo and Guehi won't improve them. But I've thought this about City the whole season, really. They've had some wobbly moments, but they are geared up to finish the season strong.
Let's just hope that we've got enough and a 6-point lead, and that's enough. And that Villa don't do it. Now, after the break, another Ethan Nwaneri transfer rumour and a fantastic email from one of our listeners. Welcome to Nwaneri Corner. We spoke about the interest in him from Bournemouth in one of our previous podcasts. Now, further reports this week state that Arsenal have received interest this month from West Ham. Yeah, he's going to come to you, lads. Now, they're keen to explore a loan. I'm sure they are, Jim.
Yeah, Ethan, you've had the offer of some work experience. It's an abattoir. All right, what position is it? It's like, you're the one who looks the cow in the eye when you put the bolt gun in its brain. All right, is there anything else? Yeah, West Ham are interested. Yeah, I'll do the abattoir. Yeah, it's just not appealing, is it? It's like someone has to clean up crime scenes, right? It is a job, but you don't want to do it. Yeah. And that's what this feels like for Nwaneri. It's just not a chance.
I cannot see that. Bournemouth was a much better fit, and if he's not going to do that, he's not going to go West Ham.
I think West Ham fans are saying, mate, don't come. Seriously, mate, to this athletic stadium. I think it's punishment. I don't know if that would feel how I would feel. You're not going to learn a lot.
Yeah, that's it.
You're not going to learn a lot. What are you going to learn? Playing in a relegation? Okay, you might learn about, how difficult a room full of players that aren't playing very well is to be in that sort of environment and having to scrap and fight and playing as a
you might get to meet Danny Dyer.
Yeah, you might.
That's a plus.
That's a plus. You can go pub with him.
Big plus.
I'd like to meet Danny Dyer.
Yeah, same.
So there is a bit of a selling point.
You're next to Westfield, so you want to do some shopping. That is one of the pluses of going to West Ham.
It's a poison chalice, that though, isn't it? Because if you pop into Westfield for one thing and it's in the first shop you see, somehow you're still in there for 2 hours.
Yeah. Like me in the food court. I could spend 2-3 hours in the food court alone. So
and very busy in there.
Very busy. It looks like all modern shopping centres. It feels like you're in the internet. Like sort of walking around in it. It's all shiny and there's pop-ups everywhere. It's mad.
Having just worked in Shanghai for 3 months, the entire city of Shanghai is a Westfield.
It
is,
really?
honestly. You can walk through, instead of walking on the street if it's raining, just walk through different shopping centres. They all connect.
Well, like duty frees in the airport.
Honestly, it is. It's unbearable. I'm sure it's not going to happen. But I did think it was a bit of a shame that Nwaneri didn't even get in the squad against Chelsea.
Yeah, I did
Played
as well.
really well against Portsmouth. And I just worry that his opportunity, I know he's that young and I know we've got to have a big squad, but it seems just shame if you play well that you don't then at least stay in the squad.
When he's been asked about Ethan, he says, how many other 18-year-olds or teenagers have as many appearances as Ethan has had? And he defends himself quite staunchly in terms of how he uses Ethan. But I'm sorry, as a young player, this is what I was talking about. Mikel, I love you to death. But I'm looking about how you develop exactly how you develop this amazing talent, these amazing talents we've got. And I don't know. I think that was a little bit nasty. Yes, if it means, we got to drop Eze or whatever else. But when you play like he did and he showed what he did, I just feel like you got to say, all right, mate. But then he may be starting. He may start in the next. Well, who have we got in there?
Yes. We're Inter away is our next game.
Yeah, just away games all the time now, isn't it? I think after that we got the Copa de Libertadores. I think we got a fixture in Le Tournoi. It's endless.
Yeah, there's an Audi Cup in Deja. Listen, I think the trouble is we've got a massive squad, and as Arteta said to all the players, if you want to win big trophies, you've got to have big squads like this. I don't like the fact that Eze isn't playing. I don't like the fact that Ethan isn't playing, but they can't all play.
Yeah, they can't all play. And we're not used to this, are we?
Yeah, we've had this conversation already on this show, and it's just so hard to accept it, isn't it?
I know.
We just never. It will take a long while to accept it.
Now, another story this week is that Gabriel, Big Gabby Magalhães, is on Cameo. So Cameo is the app, the website where you can get famous people to send you a message. Everyone from Gabriel to Nigel Farage. You can get anyone you want, send you a message. But in the last couple of days, Gabriel has joined Cameo. He's charging 156 quid.
Seems low for Gabriel.
Yeah.
Is
What
he
would I charge? if he's only
£5
charging... Yeah. So I've got to wait a bit. Yeah, I'll get to before I get on there.
I think 150, that's quite a lot on Cameo.
It is on Cameo, but when you consider
He's earning
who
200
he
grand
is,
a week.
well, exactly, yeah. It's an interesting one with footballers, isn't it? Because we forget that a lot of the time that the wage they take home is supporting a lot of people back in their native country.
So he needs an extra 156 quid.
Maybe he does. Maybe he can give it sort of 20 minutes every day to make some extra cash.
Well, let's go. Can we play a little game of higher or lower?
Sure.
So I've gone on the Cameo website and looked at the Arsenal players that are on Cameo. So we've got Gabriel Magalhães is on £157. He's done he's had 4 reviews so far, all 5 stars. Okay, we've got another Arsenal player, Sol Campbell. Do you think he is higher or lower than Big Gabby?
I think Sol's got a big opinion of himself, hasn't he?
Exactly. The arrogance alone, double.
Yeah, I think he'd be higher.
You think he's higher? So you think higher?
Yeah.
He is slightly higher, £172 for Sol Campbell. Now, next we're moving on to a big legend, the Romford Pele. Do you think he's higher or lower than Sol Campbell?
Lower.
Yeah, lower.
He's on 142. He's had a 4.99 rating. Someone's not giving him the full.
I'm going to get one, Ray.
Okay, we're now moving on to Granit Xhaka. Right, he's done 190. Ooh. He's a big guy. 4.54 rating. Do you think he's higher or lower than Ray Parlour? Granit Xhaka currently playing.
I think it'd be higher than Ray Parlour.
Higher than Ray Parlour. Higher than Ray Parlour.
Definitely higher.
Incorrect. He is £81.
Wow, man of the people.
That's worth it.
Gabriel Jesus. He's done a lot. He's done 47.
Sorry, why are all these people on Cameo? What's going on?
So they not be like watching videos that Arteta's made them watch?
Mate, it's quite hard to do these cameos, you know? Like, it takes a little bit of time. How do you make it different? That's quite difficult.
Gabriel Jesus was injured for quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
To be fair, he's bored. Right. So what do we think? He's higher or lower than Granit Xhaka, who's on £81? Gabriel Jesus?
Higher, yeah.
Has to be.
Higher. He's the highest, £191 for Gabby J. I'll give you 2 more. Tim Akinola. He's a former youth player, Tim Akinola. Do you think he's higher or lower? He's on 107. 107 cameos. Good for you, Tim.
I hope he's higher, but I suspect he'll be lower.
He's £19. He's £19.
£19.
Okay, let me give you one more. David Seaman, MBE.
Oh, he's higher
higher than what?
Let's do higher than Gabriel Jesus.
No, he's going to be lower.
You think he's lower than Gabriel Jesus, right? What do you think, Johnny?
I think he might be higher, you know.
He's £88. David Seaman, MBE. He's done 151. Look, lots of players on there. They must have more time than we.
I once used Cameo to kind of populate a kind of fake movie trailer that some friends and I made for one of our friends' stags. And we all got them to say a line. We tried to sort of trick them into saying a line and sort of stitch it all together. And Malcolm McDowell wouldn't have it. He was on there for £81. Malcolm McDowell.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Do you know what I used it for? When I won my fantasy football league last year, and I was constantly beaten by a friend of mine called Chris, who is a big Tottenham fan, who's actually started going viral on his Instagram from just bitching about Tottenham.
Is he the bloke who says, it can't be that bad?
Yeah,
he's great.
Yeah, brilliant. Right? It's just, honestly, and I'm like, you are the new Arsenal fan TV, so enjoy it. But yeah, he's making waves on Instagram. But I just got lots of Tottenham legends to tell him that I was the best. So I got Glenn Hoddle, Robbie Keane, and then I got Theo Walcott to do one. I know he's not a Tottenham man. I got Theo Walcott, and because I had a friend of mine who knew Theo, and I was like, could you just get Theo Walcott to say, yeah, like Luke beat you in the fantasy league this season, you're useless, you're shit. And Theo opened it and went, hi Chris, happy birthday, mate. Just want to wish you great happy birthday. I know you're a Tottenham fan. Hopefully Arsenal can do it this year. All the best, mate.
Refund.
Like, that's so Theo, isn't it? To even just get that slightly wrong. Bloody hell, Theo. No, it's very much still appreciate that you did it. Now, we have got a really lovely correspondence. We've been getting some great stuff been sent in to us. Jim, you're going to take this one.
I am. This is from Chris Collins, who lives in the US. Chris wanted to share the story of how his dad, who is turning 86 this year, became a lifelong Arsenal fan. Mm-hmm. I really wanted to share his story because I think it embodies so much of what it means to support this club. And I'd only recently heard how he came to be a lifelong Gooner. Around 1942, he and his mum lost their home during the bombings in London. At this time, it was just the two of them as his dad was enlisted with the RAF. He was living in Westminster, but then moved a bit around London. This bit of the story was one he just shared out of the blue less than a year ago while I was taking him to get a checkup on his hip replacements. He starts talking to me about listening to the 1952 FA Cup final between Arsenal and Newcastle and reminds me of the state of the pitch, the state of that heavy leather ball, that there were no cards back then and no substitutions either. This was something certainly foreign to me as a millennial growing up spoiled, watching Bergkamp and Henry in high definition glide across perfectly manicured pitches. But then he starts listing off all the players for Arsenal that went off injured. Wally Barnes got hurt, then Don Roper and Ray Daniel and Cliff Holton. He talks about how enthralling it was to listen to a 7-man Arsenal take on Newcastle and hold on until the dying minutes. He says this bloke George Robledo, great player, scores for Newcastle to win it 1-0 in the last 5 minutes or so. He tells me that he knew that day he'd support Arsenal. He'd never even really followed the sport before, but couldn't stop thinking about the resilience demonstrated by that side. Honestly, I was thinking there's no way this old man just rattled off with these details like that. I sat there in the doctor's office fact-checking these names. He had remembered everything. The only thing I could catch him on was he actually said the 1951 FA Cup final, so he was a year off. And he also said the final 5 minutes, but it looked like it was scored in the 84th minute. Still, not bad. The idea of the resilience of that side resonated so much with me. I love this sport so much and I get to share it with my 2 children with disabilities, as well as use it as a foundation for my own charitable work with children with disabilities, coaching children and adults with special needs, and using football as a way to teach children with and without disabilities behavioural skills they can use in the classroom and community. I just thought this might be something worth sharing with the broader Arsenal community, whatever form that takes. And that is wonderful. Thank you, Chris.
I love it.
Thank you for sharing that.
It's so nice and it's so powerful, and I love how it passes down generations. And the thing is with supporting a football team, it's a club. You know, I've been working away for the last 2.5 years, been not been able to use my season ticket, just following it on the telly or whatever. But getting back there and just seeing all the people around and oh Lou, you permanently back now? I was like, yeah, I'm permanently back. Like I got re-invited into the WhatsApp group. And there's a lady who hands out chocolate bars at half time. Like I got one of the chocolate bars. I'm back in the frame. And it's that community is so important, and it's so lovely hearing stories like this. And I don't know, Johnny, what do you make of that?
That was a very different take on Arsenal. It was a refreshing to hear something from that period as well. Obviously, we were really successful in the 30s and before the war, but yeah, it was the essence of what the Arsenal is and that is. I've not heard. Everything we talk about now is the Invincibles or George Graham, but to hear something from that period was really nice.
And the memory's amazing as well, isn't it? Like, I kind of relate to that, though, because I find it easier to remember things from the 90s than I do from maybe 10 years ago. I think it's just the way our brains change as we age. And also, no cards and no subs. You could just beat people up. Until you had more players. I
love his first game was Arsenal losing 1-0 to Newcastle. I wonder if his first game was Arsenal being 4-0 up to Newcastle and drawing 4-0. If he did stay, if he had kept being an Arsenal fan going, do you know what? I don't want to commit to this.
Yeah, if you or anyone you know became an Arsenal fan after that game, do get in touch.
Yes.
Actually, I would love to know the weirdest ways that some of our listeners have come to support Arsenal.
Yeah.
So, because, of course, you might have seen on socials, we've been sharing some of our own stories about how we became Arsenal supporters. So we would love to hear your own.
Mine was literally just because my friend down the road supported Arsenal. And he literally just said, I used to go around his house on a Friday night. His name was Alex Gallagher. And I became a season ticket holder with them. And he just was like, he said, I support Arsenal. Do you want to support Arsenal? Like, yeah, go on then. Like, that,
and as simple as that.
But how is that? Like, how is that infected in me? How do I spend £4,000 a year on Arsenal merchandise because Alex Gallagher told me to support Arsenal?
Yeah.
It's become your every second thought. That's it. It becomes that.
I know.
That's what it becomes. People say, why is football so important to you? I said, well, if you spend this much time thinking and talking about something, that's why.
Yeah.
So, and he spent, 75 years thinking like that. So
it's like a positive vampire bite.
Yes.
Yes. Very nice. Positive vampire bite.